In 1968, the Haber Biological Weapons Laboratory was shut down due to the disease of unknown origin. This brain rot ravaged the base and is attributed with the death of 21 different people in a month, including a shooting massacre. The government, fearing that the disease would be uncontrollable if it spread further, chose the option to close down the base permanently. The epidemic became known as the Haber Incident. 4 individuals managed to survive and were sworn to secrecy of the events that occurred. These 4 included the base head researcher Dr. Hannah Mallow and Dr. Emmanuel Hill, the only known survivor of Porter's disease. The following chain of events is a cross-reference of eyewitness testimonies and best estimates. The exact details of what occurred are unknown. Thursday, March 12, 2020. 52 years after the Haber incident, Alex and Abigail Nunez sit in their parents' living room disappointed. It's spring break for the 2 high schoolers, and unfortunately due to global conditions, plans for a vacation in California have just fallen through. Alex, being quick on his feet and ever resourceful, suggests the alternative of a hiking adventure to Mount Was with their close friends. Abigail is adverse to the idea for several reasons. It's a 2.5-hour drive. I'll drive in paper gas. Snacks? I got 'em. What if we run into trouble at the mountain? I'll take one of Grandpa's guns, the silver one with the wooden grip. That's my favorite. Abigail stops him there. You can't do that, she states in a stern tone. Her glare gets her brother's full attention, making him set his phone down. What, you'd rather have us go up there unarmed? He asks indignantly. Abigail huffs. They aren't toys, you know. I know that. Then you know we aren't allowed to use them. Grandpa said so himself. She finishes. Alex sighs a sort of fake sigh before he responds. Okay, I guess we'll just take your pepper spray and hope for the best, he reasons, picking his phone back up. Oh, and just one more thing, Alex says as he looks at his sister. Abigail gives her brother a side glance, knowing his tone is suspicious. Make sure you invite Mary, he requests behind a sly smile. Saturday, March 14th, 2020. The 6 friends stand in front of Alex's old SUV, eager to begin the road trip. It's a bright and early 9:36 a.m. in the morning. Alex and Abigail are there with 4 other friends from school. Invited by Alex are Holland Smith and Kyle Owens, Alex knowing the 2 since middle and elementary school respectively. Invited by Abigail are Layla Sloan and Mary Walsh, knowing both through high school. After saying goodbye to Mr. and Mrs. Nunez, the 6 hop into the car and begin the 2.5-hour road trip. So what made you want to come out all the way to the mountains? Mary asks from the middle row, where she and Layla are sitting. From the back seat, Kyle jumps in. Chance to get away from town, smoke, drink, under some stars sounds good to me. Holland laughs in agreement. From the rearview mirror, Alex can see Mary's eyes are still on him, waiting for his answer. What he said, Alex responds with slickness, getting roars of approval from his 2 friends. Abigail swings in her seat to face her brother. You do know Mary's never done those things, right? She mentions, protecting her friend. It's okay. I've always wanted to try anyways. Might be fun, Mary adds. This got even more roars of approval from the boys, making her blush. The 6 continue their drive towards the mountain. It's 12:15 p.m. when the 6 pile out. Legs tired of sitting stretch out. Layla looks around and takes a deep breath, then turns to the others. Oh my god, is it beautiful out here, her eyes twinkling as she says it. This gets a wink from Kyle. The temperature's risen from a cool 57 up to 75 degrees. The boys get out the supplies. Now, who wants to get started? Holland asks as he pulls out a bottle. They pass around the drink, then make their way up the trail. They stand on top of the mountain, the air crisp and cool as they sit atop the peak, surrounded by mountains and desert. Tents are set up, and the kids spread out after the long hike. Layla and Kyle lay together on the ground. Abigail, Mary, and Holland chat together. Alex stumbles on top of a large rock, the mixture of chemicals in his body settling in. He looks over the vast landscape, wind hitting his face, and pulls out binoculars from his backpack. A glimmer of silver from the bag catches Abigail's eyes, and she perks up. Alex, what do you have in the bag? She blurts out upon noticing. It's nothing. her brother disregards. The others continue talking, brushing this off as sibling bickering. I'm serious, what is that? She repeats, leaving Mary and Holland to walk up to her brother, swaying as she goes. Alex sees her approach and quickly pulls out the object before she can. Abigail gasps and steps back. Oh my God, you didn't, she exclaims as she looked at the metal shining pistol in her brother's hand. Her tone made the others turn and look, and they gasp as well. Alex smirks as he holds the weapon like a trophy. I did, he smiles as he says this with boyish innocence. Alex, it's dangerous, especially with the drinking, Abigail argues. I know, right? He responds, brandishing the gun in front of the two other boys. Abigail steps back more. She looks at the other two girls, but it seems no one will side with her. You really shouldn't have brought it, she shakes her head. Alex dismisses her comments and takes another sip from the bottle. Okay, let's shoot something, he declares, and the boys scramble to set up target practice. The girls choose to sit and watch from a distance. Alex pulls the trigger, the shot ringing through the air for ages as the bottle in front of him obliterates into pieces. Holy, you guys gotta try this, Alex shouts with joy. Between the drinking and the shooting, Alex turns to Mary, who looks intently into his eyes. Wanna try? He asks her. Mary looks at the gun in his hand, then back to the boy's eyes, hesitant, before nodding and getting up from her spot. Everyone laughs and applauds her decision, except for Abigail, who looks on with disapproval, but holds her tongue, not wishing to come off as a drag. She takes another sip of her drink, as her brother hands Mary the pistol, then stands behind her, sliding his hands from his sides to her shoulders to help her form. Mary leans into his arms with a coy smile as she aims at the beer can in front of her. Roars of cheering. Mary turns around and kisses Alex. Thanks for the help, she says as she hands him back the gun. Speechless, Alex looks at Mary as she walks back to the other two girls. Abigail, wishing to distract herself from just seeing her friend kiss her brother, observes the campsite and notices the binoculars Alex had gotten out from before. Yo, dummy, she calls out to her brother, which snaps him out of his daze of infatuation. Alex blinks and shakes his head out of his Mary stare and looks at his sister. Why'd you bring those? She questions with a point of her finger. Oh, that's right, I'm glad you asked. He laughs, setting down the gun and happily skips over to the binoculars, riding the high of the kiss. Alex dusts them off and gets back on the large rock he was on earlier. I think I finally figured out the location of Grandpa's stories, he shouts over, scanning the horizon with his equipment. Abigail does a double take at the statement. You know if you somehow found it, we're not going, she says in an attempt to slow her brother's excitement. The others look at her puzzled. What does he mean? Layla asks. The friends nod in agreement, all eager to hear the story. Abigail sighs, knowing they won't take a forget about it as an answer. Okay, she starts. The others besides Alex gather around, ready for this story time. Alex and I's grandfather served in the military for almost 20 years. He was a doctor, first being deployed in the Korean War, then in Vietnam. When he got back, the government relocated him to some base here in Utah. I don't know the name, I'm blanking on it. The Haber Biological Weapons Laboratory. Alex interjects from his rock, still looking with the binoculars. Right, he worked there for 3 years until something happened. What do you mean something happened? Holland jumps in with the question. I mean, he doesn't remember what happened. One moment he was fine working on the base. Next thing he remembers is being in a hospital bed, unable to use his legs. She finishes. Jesus, Kyle whispers out loud. Yeah, but it's not all bad. At the hospital he met his wife, moved to Colorado, and gave birth to our mom. She adds. That legit what happened? Holland asks, struggling to fully believe the story. It'd be an odd story to lie about. It's not exactly eventful, Abigail explains. But here's the thing, Alex shouts from his perch. There is no Haber biological weapons base in Utah, or anywhere in America for that matter. It doesn't exist, he explains, smiling in a way that indicates he's withholding information for dramatic effect. However, I asked their grandpa a lot of questions about this story. What it's located by, what are some of the scenery, roads leading to it, all of it. He was very open in telling me all this, Alex describes as he finishes the drink in his hand. Probably because he never thought you'd be dumb enough to go looking for it, Abigail chimes in. Her brother just laughs us off. So, from all my questions, I figured out that the base has to be located between this mountain that we're on and Canyonland Park. This puts its location southwest of where we are now. Alex points in the direction to indicate where southwest is. Finally, I went on Google Maps and searched the area. It's all blank, obviously. If the government's trying to hide this base, they're definitely going to make Google keep quiet about it. But see, I outsmarted them there. I searched and found a road southwest of here that just stops in the middle of nowhere. It goes and cuts off for no reason whatsoever. That road must lead to the base. He finishes, bowing for his exemplary detective work as his friends applaud him. He springs up from the standing position and scans the horizon once more. And there it is. Alex shouts as he throws his hand up in the air. The others come running over, climbing on top of the rock. He hands the binoculars to Kyle, who peers over the landscape below. Well, it does look like something's over there. Is this why you wanted to come out here? He questions. It was one of the reasons, Alex smiles, turning to look at a blushing Mary. So, who wants to explore it? He asks. No, absolutely not. Abigail immediately jumps in before Holland and Kyle can shout their agreement. Oh, come on, think how cool it would be to walk around it, Alex describes. Old military buildings, documents from 50 years ago. We could even maybe learn about our grandpa's time on the base. Yeah, if we don't get shot for trespassing. Look, I let you keep the gun and drink when we really shouldn't have. But this is where I put my foot down. We're not going, Abigail says with stern authority, drawing her figurative line in the sand. Well, hey, it's not just our decision to make. Let's put it to a vote. Let's not. Okay, all in favor of just checking out this base and seeing what's up, raise your hand, Alex decrees, ignoring his sister's dissent. Holland and Kyle quickly raise both their hands. 3 votes for going. Great, it's just gonna be a tie, Abigail realizes. All in favor for not being stupid and staying here, raise your hand. She throws up her hand as she finishes, along with Layla. Mary didn't vote, Alex points out, and everyone's eyes turn towards her. Mary shrinks in her shirt at the attention on her. Mary? Abigail snaps, unsure of her friend's lack of action. Look, I just don't know who to side with. You guys are both making good points, she says, looking between the 2 siblings. She pauses, thinking over her options, the others waiting with bated breath. Alex touches her arm. If it looks dangerous, we'll leave right away, okay? He says, looking deep into her eyes. Let's do it, Mary finally relents, moving to stand next to Alex and kissing him on the cheek. Abigail looks at her friend with disappointment, not liking the image of those 2 together and having to wander around an abandoned base. She throws up her hands in exasperation. Fine, let's go head out, she sighs. As they begin to trek down the mountain, Layla asks, So, what's your grandpa's name again? Alex and Abigail respond in unison. Dr. Emmanuel Hill. The story of the Slitherwisp will continue for part 3.